Welcome. Today we're doing a deep forensic dive into the commentary, the Tafsir of Surah Maryam. We're going to be looking at a specific set of verses that deal with one of the most profound, and you could say cosmically heavy, claims in all of theology. Let's break it down.
So here's our plan. We're going to start with the claim itself, a claim so huge it's said to literally shake the universe. From there, we'll look at the unseen forces that might be behind it. We'll explore the two very different fates awaiting humanity. And then we'll get into the one and only condition for anyone to intervene on the Day of Judgment. And we'll wrap it all up by looking at the core principles of divine justice.
All right, first up, we begin with the absolute heart of the matter, this monumental claim that's addressed in the Tafsir. You have to understand, this single statement is so significant that it becomes the foundation for everything else that follows. Our entire analysis today is grounded right here, in this scholarly commentary. As you can see, it's a very meticulous, dense text that systematically pulls apart the layers of meaning in these verses. Our job is to pull out its core arguments for you.
This is it. This is the statement that kicks the whole discussion off. The commentary really emphasizes that last part, a grievous thing. That phrase signals that we're not just talking about a simple disagreement. This is an assertion of almost unbearable theological weight.
Now this is where the commentary gets incredibly cinematic. The source describes the universe itself having a violent reaction to this claim. It's not just presented as a theological error, it's framed as a fundamental violation of cosmic order, an idea so wrong that creation itself is on the brink of total collapse. So you have to ask, where could a claim this grievous even come from? The commentary then shifts its focus. It looks to the unseen forces that encourage this kind of disbelief, and it does it through a really fascinating linguistic analysis. The commentary here really zooms in on one specific and very powerful phrase that describes exactly how this incitement works. You see, the verse doesn't just say that devils mislead people, it describes the method they use. And that method is captured in this word, aza. The source explains that this is so much more than a gentle suggestion or a whisper. It implies a persistent, forceful, and nonstop agitation. It's not a one-time thing. It's a relentless campaign to provoke and push disbelievers deeper into transgression. From there, the commentary paints this powerful, contrasting image of the Day of Judgment. And it's not one single event for everyone, no. It's two totally separate gatherings for two groups with two very, very different destinies. And this just brilliantly illustrates that contrast. On one side, you have the pious, the muttaqin. They are gathered as a wafdan, which is like an honored delegation arriving to receive a prize. But then, in stark opposition, you have the sinners, the mujrimin. They're driven as a wirdan, and that word evokes an image of a thirsty herd of animals being forcefully driven towards a watering hole, which in this case is the fire of hell. The imagery is just so deliberate and so powerful. Seeing a scene that stark naturally leads you to a huge question. Can anyone step in? Can anyone speak up for someone else on that day? Well, the commentary says yes, but there is one very specific, very restrictive condition.
The verses, as the commentary explains them, draw a very clear and absolute line in the sand. They establish that the authority to intercede on behalf of others is not just handed out. It is in fact incredibly restricted.
So what's the key to this exclusive power? It's something called a ahdin, which means a covenant or a pact with God. The commentary defines this pact as being built on the foundation of tawhid, the absolute belief in the oneness of God. It also includes having allegiance to him and his messengers. This covenant, this pact you make in your lifetime, is the only ticket to being eligible for intercession. Now our explainer comes full circle, right back to that initial claim about divine sonship. Only this time, it comes armed with a multi-layered logical argument to completely refute it based on the fundamental nature of creation itself. The source text here methodically dismantles the whole concept. It doesn't just say it's wrong, it builds a logical case, point by point, straight from the verses, to show why it's a theological impossibility. Let's walk through the 3 steps of this argument. The argument unfolds in 3 really clear logical steps. First, the principle of universal servitude. Everything, and I mean everything, is a servant, an abdan. There are no exceptions. Second, divine enumeration. God has absolute knowledge of every single creation and has counted them all. And third, individual accountability. Every single being will stand before him alone. When you put those three truths together, the creator-creation relationship becomes so clear that it leaves absolutely no room for a concept like sonship. All right, in our final section, the commentary zooms out to explore the profound principles that actually govern divine judgment itself. And to do this, it draws on some other sources of wisdom to help us distinguish between two core concepts, justice and mercy. And to really deepen this analysis, the commentary pulls from another powerful source, the supplications of Imam Sajjad. And it's within this text that we find this critical distinction being drawn between God's absolute justice and his boundless grace. Now, what's really fascinating here is the distinction the commentary makes. You have justice, or adl. Think of this as perfect cosmic accounting. You get exactly what you deserve, no more, no less. But then you have grace, or fadl, and that is something else entirely. That's when God's mercy actually transcends the scales of justice, and he grants forgiveness and rewards out of pure, unearned benevolence. And this supplication, which the source highlights, just perfectly captures the human condition, doesn't it? It's a recognition that if any of us were to face pure, unmitigated justice, we'd all fall short. So the ultimate hope isn't in demanding our rights, but in pleading for grace.
So we're left with this final, massive question from our analysis. If the fundamental relationship for every single being, from the smallest particle to the greatest angel, is one of servitude, how does that completely redefine our concepts of hierarchy, of our purpose, and of our ultimate relationship with the divine? It invites a complete reevaluation of our place in the cosmos.